Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. Before we actually get into the installation and use of Ubuntu, we are first going to talk about distributions and what exactly that means. So, to explain what a distribution is, we're going to load up this image here. And this image, presented this way and in the slideshow in the previous video, is so large that it's entirely illegible. So we actually have to zoom in quite a bit here. Now, in the previous video, I mentioned Debian and how Debian was one of the first major Linux distributions. Along with Slackware, Red Hat, and OpenSUSE, they are the four different types of Linux distributions. And a type is categorized based on the package manager. Now, there are different Linux distributions that are not based on these four. For instance, Gentoo and Arch Linux. However, we're not going to focus on those at this time. So Debian starts here in the early 90s. And as time goes on, it begins to get forked, which means that other people come along and use the source code base of Debian to create their own Linux distribution. Now, if we look for Ubuntu, it's, I believe, this brown line right here. We'll see how much forking of Ubuntu there's been as well. So here's Ubuntu, and immediately we've got all sorts of forks happening. Now, there are two different types of Ubuntu derivatives, and that is officially recognized and not officially recognized. So a few examples of officially recognized Ubuntu distributions are Kubuntu, Ubuntu Studio, and Lubuntu, Xubuntu, and basically Kubuntu is Ubuntu with KDE pre-installed instead of Unity. So Unity is the desktop environment of Ubuntu. And a desktop environment, we're going to go more in depth into desktop environments in a future video. However, to give a little bit of an idea about what it is, we're going to just have a look at some images here. So this is Unity. It's got a panel across the top of the screen with different indicators, a clock, and this is a user menu that you can access user accounts, system settings, etc. On the left-hand side, it's got another panel that acts as a dock. So opened applications and applications that you pin to the dock will appear here. The top button here is to launch the dash. And now the Ubuntu dash is incredible. I absolutely love it. While I don't like much anything else about Ubuntu, the dash is really awesome. So you can actually search for files, programs, etc. And you can even use the Ubuntu Dash to find things online. So it's actually a pretty neat concept. Now, Kubuntu has KDE pre-installed, which is a different desktop environment. And so it's going to look and act differently. Now this is KDE 5 Plasma. They call it their desktop environment. So KDE Plasma 5. And obviously you can see the differences. It's got a window list here of open windows. It's got the indicators and time over here and the main menu right there, which looks like this. Now, the Kubuntu and Ubuntu Studio and others are officially recognized derivatives of Ubuntu, but Linux Mint is not. If we go to linuxmint.com, you'll see that they did in fact develop their own desktop environment called Cinnamon. And Cinnamon, the desktop environment, is absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favorites. If we look for, here we go. Should be able to just click on this. No. Oh, yep, there we go. Okay. So this is Linux Mint with the Cinnamon desktop environment. It's similar to a classic desktop environment in that it has a panel at the bottom with a main menu and a window list of open windows. Elementary OS is right here. That's another one that I want to talk about. I've used Elementary in the past, and it as well, in very different ways, is very beautiful, very fun to use. The aesthetics alone are just absolutely mind-blowing. They've got the cleanest interface that I've seen. This is a transparent panel at the top with an applications menu, the clock, and indicators, and it's got a dock for open windows. Now, aside from this, their own desktop environment, they've also created other software specifically for use with Elementary OS, such as the Pantheon File Manager. And that's one of my favorite file managers, just because it does a lot of different things in a really neat way. Now, with Ubuntu-based distributions, installation is practically the same, with a few exceptions. So feel free to explore the different Linux distributions if you don't think you'll have problems following along when things look a bit different. Now, when I get Ubuntu set up, I'm going to make some configurations and changes and show you guys sort of how to do that stuff, but feel free to, explore the vast ocean of Linux distributions. So in the next video, we're actually going to be installing VirtualBox and Ubuntu, and we're going to be playing around with that a little bit and explaining the installation steps. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon.